One Eye, Two Eyes, and Three Eyes. Once upon a time in a far-off land, there lived a woman with her 3 daughters. 2 of the daughters, One Eye and Three Eyes, were her favorites. She loved them both dearly and gave them whatever they asked for. The other daughter, however, had just 2 eyes, and since she looked very much like the normal people, her sisters and mother had a great disdain for her. She was given their old and worn clothes to wear, and was made to eat only their leftovers. They did everything they could to make her very unhappy. But even through all the trouble they gave her, she was still kind and generous to all she met and saw.
Hello, little birds. Are you hungry? I am sorry this isn't much, but you may eat it.
One day, as her sisters and mother finished their lunch, Two Eyes then took her place at the table to eat.
You know, One Eye, since Two Eyes is different from us, must she sit at our table? You are right, Two Eyes. You do not belong with us. Go away and do not come near.
Poor Two Eyes was so hurt by their words that she ran out crying. While she cried, suddenly, with a flash of light, an old fairy magically appeared and stood in front of her. She wore a cloak that glistened in the sun and carried a staff made of sparkling precious gems. Two Eyes was extremely amazed.
Why are you weeping, dear little Two Eyes?
Oh, good fairy, my mother and sisters hate me for having 2 eyes. They give me only leftovers to eat and treat me ever so badly.
Wipe away your tears, my dear, and I will tell you something good. Do you see the stick that you carry? Every time you are hungry, chant this spell. Magic stick, hop to my beat. Cover the table with something to eat.
The stick then started to glow brightly. It flew out of Two Eyes' hands and transformed itself into a lovely little table spread with the most delicious food Two Eyes had ever seen.
Oh, how wonderful! It smells so amazing.
Now you won't be hungry. Eat and drink as much as you wish, and when you are done, just say, "Magic stick, hear me pray, and take the table quite away," and then it will vanish again.
Saying this, with a wave of her magic staff, the old fairy disappeared. Two Eyes was most amazed at all she saw, but she had been starving for far too long, and so ate up each and everything from the table.
The food was quite delicious. I am so very happy, but now I must hide this all away. Magic stick, hear me pray, and take the table quite away.
And amazingly, the table and everything on it had changed itself back into the stick. In the evening when she returned, there lying on the table was a plate of leftovers kept for her. But she did not touch it and happily walked past it. From then on, Two Eyes would go out every day, eat and drink to her heart's content, and come home happily. But one day, One Eye and Three Eyes noticed that their sister wasn't eating what they left her.
There is something wrong about Two Eyes. She doesn't eat what we give her anymore. She may have discovered other ways of getting food. We must find out the truth.
So the next day, as Two Eyes set out happily to the field, her 2 sisters quietly followed behind her. She looked to see that no one was following her, but her sisters made sure she never found out. When Two Eyes reached there, she chanted out loudly,
Magic stick, hop to my beat. Cover the table with something to eat.
And immediately the table magically appeared with all the delicious food. The two sisters were secretly watching, and their eyes widened at everything they saw.
So this is how she eats every day. No wonder she is never hungry anymore. Quick, let us go home and tell everything to Mother.
They ran home as fast as they could, and when their mother heard all that Two Eyes had done, she was furious.
How dare she eat better food than us? Let her come home, and then we will take her magic stick away.
So they waited for Two Eyes to return. And when she did, her mother grabbed the stick out of Two Eyes' hand and broke it into pieces.
No! Oh, why would you do that?
This will teach you a lesson when you decide to cheat your sisters and me again. Now you will go hungry for good.
Poor little Two Eyes was heartbroken. She picked up the broken pieces of the stick and ran out. She went in the garden and wept bitterly. Just then, the old fairy appeared before her again.
My sweet Two Eyes, what is wrong? Why are you crying, dear child?
Oh, kind fairy, the magic stick which you gave me and would spread the table so beautifully, my mother has broken into pieces. Now I must suffer from hunger again.
Two Eyes, I will give you a good piece of advice. Take the pieces of the stick and bury it in the garden where the moon shines the brightest. That, be sure of, will bring you good luck.
The old fairy once again waved her magic wand and in a flash disappeared from the night. Two Eyes trusted the fairy's words and did as she was told. The next morning, there in the garden stood a most wondrous tree. Its every leaf glistened of silver, and it had fruits of gold that glowed in the sunlight. The mother and her two daughters stared at it with amazement. Never in their lives had they seen such a lovely sight.
The tree is so beautiful, but where has it come from, Mother?
I do not know. It is indeed a very strange thing. Let us go out and pick the fruits.
Only Two Eyes knew that it had sprung from the broken magic stick. One Eye, Three Eyes, and their mother ran out and jumped high to pick the golden fruits. But every time they reached out, the tree would bend its branches away from them.
Oh, why can we not even get a single leaf of this tree? I shall rest, for I am very tired.
Two Eyes had been watching them, and she now looked at the tree. Let me try too, perhaps. I'll be able to pick a fruit.
Ha! Try all you want. If we couldn't do it, how will you succeed?
But as Two Eyes reached up to pick at the silver branches, the tree did not bend away from her. If anything, it glittered all the more and bent forward, so that Two Eyes may pick as many fruits as she pleased. She tried giving them to her mother, hoping they would be happy, but by seeing that only she was able to pluck the fruit from the tree, they only turned jealous. It happened one evening that when they were all standing together by the tree, that a young knight came riding along. The mother turned hurriedly towards Two Eyes.
Quick, Two Eyes, go and hide in the bushes. We do not want you to disgrace us.
Poor Two Eyes hurriedly went and hid herself in the bushes. The knight was a very handsome young man. He rode up and saw the marvelous tree of gold and silver. He wondered who it belonged to, and then saw the two sisters.
Whom does this beautiful tree belong to? Whoever will give me a twig of it shall have whatever she asks for.
The tree belongs to us. We would certainly break off a twig for you.
They jumped and tried very hard to break a branch, but in vain the tree bent its twigs and fruit away from their hands and wouldn't let them touch it.
It is very strange that the tree should belong to you, and yet you have not been able to break anything from it. I had better leave instead of wasting my time.
And so he left. The two sisters and their mother were very annoyed.
Do not worry, my dear children. Perhaps he will come back tomorrow. Let us try harder then.
When they left, Two Eyes came out from behind the bushes and sat by the tree. She was thinking deeply about the knight.
How handsome he is! If only I could have picked a branch off the tree and given it to him. I could have told him how much I love him.
No sooner did she say this than she heard the old fairy's voice coming from the tree.
Little Two Eyes, you have been so kind even in your sadness, and a kind heart deserves to be rewarded. I have heard your wish, and if that is really what you want, I will grant it for you.
Oh, yes! I would wish for nothing more than to be with my beloved knight. I wish this with all my heart.
Very well. Then do as I tell you. Pluck one leaf from the tree and put it on your dress.
And as she did this, her torn dress turned into the most beautiful dress imaginable. It had silver leaves and ruby roses all over it.
Now sit in this silver leaf, and it will fly you through the night sky to your beloved.
And as the voice stopped speaking, one silver leaf fluttered slowly down to Two Eyes. It grew in size and sparkled magnificently in the moonlight. Two Eyes sat in the leaf, and it sailed her away through the night sky, past the moon and stars, and onto the knight's balcony. As she got off the leaf, it now changed into a silver branch with a golden fruit hanging from it.
Oh, dear handsome knight, please hear me call for you. I have brought you the branch of the silver tree that you wished for.
Who is it that calls me out so late?
But as he came out and saw Two Eyes standing there on the balcony, he gasped, for her beauty was unlike any other, and he couldn't take his eyes off her. Two Eyes was most delighted to see him.
My lord, you promised to give anything to the person who brought you this silver branch.
Indeed. And what is it that you desire?
Two Eyes tells him all about her mother and her two sisters, and how they have ill-treated her.
I have suffered from hunger and thirst and sadness, and have come to ask if you would take me as your bride.
I would be happy to marry you, my dear. But before that, I must punish your mother and your sisters for treating you like that.
Oh, forgive them, my knight, and let's forget about them, for they are my bitter past. Let us cherish today and build a beautiful tomorrow.
So the very next day, the knight and Two Eyes were married to each other in a grand ceremony. And there they lived happily ever after.